restoration of all things message in the spirit and power of Eliyahu to prepare the way for Yahushua's second coming.
Our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
On October 27, 1954, during a match between Fiorentina and their nearby rivals Pistoiese at the Stadio Artemio Franchi in Italy, both teams and nearly 10,000 spectators fell silent as they witnessed a UAP traveling at high speed abruptly stop over the stadium. 9 days later, on November 5, 1954, Italian diplomat Dr. Alberto Perego reported seeing a fleet of UFOs over the Vatican City, 270 kilometers away. This second sighting involved multiple flying objects moving in formation to create a geometric pattern before instantly separating and disappearing from sight at a tremendous speed. Dr. Perego, who was just one of hundreds of witnesses, reported the sighting to numerous Italian agencies, including the Vatican and its astronomical observatory. For a while, the source of these two encounters remained unexplained until decades later in 1974, when Benedictine monks purchased an ancient parchment discovered deep within the Hashemite kingdom of Jordan. It's unclear whether the monks reported the find to Jordan's Department of Antiquities, as they were very quick to move the parchment out of the country and to their monastery, situated on the German-Austrian border. It was not until 1999 when the news outlet the Jerusalem Report revealed that upon the passing of one of the monks who was in charge of studying the writings within the parchment, that the monastery declared that the text belonged to the collection of books known as the Dead Sea Scrolls. The question is, why would the Vatican want to keep the scroll in particular hidden? This specific parchment, now dubbed the Angel Scroll, is considered as one of the most important ancient texts on angelology ever written. According to several contemporary French theorists, this scroll serves as an ancient technical manual for the craft that will be used in a coming alien invasion, first heralded by the encounter seen above Italy in 1954, and is predicted to begin perhaps sometime in the 21st century. Here, it speaks of multiple parallel worlds or dimensions that circle the Earth, in addition to some of the life forms that inhabit these realms. This text apparently makes reference to an angel, labeled as a quote-unquote watcher, that can facilitate a form of time travel.
But you gotta remember, there's always been a talk about Project Bluebeam, and that is a false flag, a UFO invasion to get us all riled up so the New World Order can do what they want to do. You're aware of it, I'm aware of it, and I think we need to constantly watch that possibility.
I am John, a bondservant of our Master Yahushua HaMashiach, the Messiah. Let us enter into Yahuwah's presence and give our deep reverence. Father Yahuwah, our Elohim, creator of the Shamayim, earth and man, the Elohim of our covenant fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who is Israel. Father, we come to you with joy and gladness as your servants of your assembly of our Master to offer our supplications to you. O Yahuwah, you said that the fervent prayers of the Kadoshim are as a smoke of sweet incense to you. You also said to knock and the door will be open to us. We have not because we ask not. So we are crying out to you, Father. We're crying out to you in these days that you give us unmerited favor to become sons and daughters of righteousness by your great unmerited favor we do not deserve. O Yahuwah, lend your ear to hear our supplications on behalf of those who are near and those who are far. Send us the Ruach HaKodesh as a mighty rushing wind to cause us to bind our will to your perfect will and to bind our minds to the simplicity of Messiah. O Father, let us be of one mind to Shema, to listen, hear, and do, and be attentive to your words that you have given to us today for your people. At this time, we take dominion and authority of any spirits, any wicked assignments that have been sent out to us, that they have no power over us and no right. You must leave in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Amen. Greetings to the 12 tribes in the diaspora scattered among the nations. This message is to those grafted in, to those coming into the root of truth of his covenant ways, and to those who are backsliding and desire to make repentance and return to Yahuwah with all their might, strength, and through an immersion of the living waters and the Ruach of fire. This message is dedicated to those who are serious in their walk, those that are committed to him, to be set apart as Kodesh. Let us come out of 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 1. Brother Robert.
We urgently request of you in supplication, my brethren, concerning the arrival of our Master Yahushua, the Messiah, and concerning our being gathered together to him, that you not be shaken, in your minds neither troubled, either from word, nor from a spirit, neither by letter, supposedly coming as if from us, stating that the day of Messiah has arrived.
Hallelujah. Thank you, brother. Now it says here in 2 Thessalonians 2, 1, that we are to be gathered together and to not be shaken in our minds. And that is to not disturb our vibration. And that is what the enemy is doing, brothers and sisters. It is sending frequencies and vibrations and energy into our spirit man. He doesn't want us to connect through the Ruach. The Ruach is a force. It is energy. And it doesn't want us to connect to that power because the Ruach is what sets us free. So, beloved, let us not be troubled. Let us aim our minds to the Shemayim, to the heavens. So, brothers and sisters, we are to aim our minds to the things in the Shemayim, in the heavenlies, where the word tells us that our citizenship is in the Shemayim, in the heavens, and we are seated in the heavenly places at the right hand where the Messiah sits. It must be understood, beloved, that Satan needs our consent and our participation in the world stage of illusions so that we break Yahuwah's commandments. For most of the world, this was very easy for Satan to do, as he used his ministers of darkness, and some knew and some did it in ignorance because they did not know his ways. They lacked the knowledge of Yah. These are called the sons of Belial, to teach us that the Torah has been fulfilled and that you have imputed Messiah's righteousness into us by grace. Everything that we have learned is a lie, where we are prisoners to our taskmasters, just as it was in Egypt. We live in a prison planet where we have directed energy weapons, created fires. We have disclosures according to the prison wardens. The same prison wardens tell us of a blue beam project, of a project paperclip, and secret societies, red heifers, and the third temple. All these things are connected to collectivism. And collectivism is the concept that the prisoners on earth, that we're the chattel, that must be sacrificed for the greater good, for the greater number, to take away our supposedly legal right, where the Father, Yahuwah, has made us free and has given us the earth to take care of it. He has given us the allodial title, clear and free, yet we have given it away to the enemy. Today we will deconstruct the lies to understand the times and the seasons that we are in, and to not be shaking in mind or spirit, but to operate from above as soldiers of Messiah. As a remnant, we must choose wisdom of silence. It is also a language. We are to choose our words carefully. Let us not engage in arguments or debates. Yahuwah never called us to fight. Satan, on the other hand, our adversary of our soul, will distract us from fighting the wrong fight. So let us be in unity and assemble together. Let us aim and set our minds in the things above, in the Shemayim, in the heavens, as the Malachim, the messengers of Yahuwah, are doing the work on this Shabbat day. They are celebrating, they are praising the Father in the heavenly temple, just as we're doing here today. So let us parallel in unity the ministry on the earth as it is being done in the heavens. Let us align ourselves to that ministry and praise Yahuwah on this Shabbat. Beloved brothers and sisters, 2025 is going to be a huge year for all of us. This year, 2025, we will see the increase of spiritual beings and spiritual warfare attacks on everyone. This year, we will have clarification and confirmation that we are indeed in the time of Jacob's trouble, where the four horsemen will ride into a crescendo of power and force, that men's hearts will fail, many will die. It will be the start of many tribulations and calamities since ever a nation was ever created, nor will it ever be. Nothing will compare to what is coming, to what your eyes will see. Messiah did not pray to the Father Yahuwah for us to be taken out of this world, to be raptured, but he prayed for us to be kept and guarded away from the evil one. Beloved, if you hold to the pre-trib rapture, you must get your house in order. The time of the pre-trib is over. You must seek the Father on this and prepare to expect the unexpected. And so it says here that the Messiah, concerning that we are being gathered together with him. And now this is referring to the second Exodus. Beloved brothers, in the first Exodus, we know that they were gathered together and they came out. Just as like we will in the second Exodus. And it'll be Shiloh. That's a title for Messiah, another name. It says here in Genesis 49:10 that unto the Shiloh shall be the gathering of the obedient people be. And so it'll be those that obey the author of salvation, according to Hebrews 5 verse 9 and 10, because Messiah became the author of eternal salvation unto all that obey him, called of Yahuwah a high priest after the order of Melchizedek. And so Messiah Yahushua was not just born in the first century. No, he is from the Ancient of Days. He is, as Daniel 7:9 says, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit. So the Ancient of Days is referring to the Messiah, and whose garment was as white as snow, and the hair of his head was like pure wool, and his throne was a fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. And this is in connect reference to the book of Revelation, when it's talking about his hair and his eyes, his hair being like wool and his eyes being fiery red. So beloved brothers, we are repairing the breach with Messiah in us. Messiah is doing a thing. He's doing a work within a work. He's repairing the ancient past, the breach of the covenant that has been broken. In essence, Messiah is restoring the fallen tabernacle of David that is fallen. He rebuilt it in the first century as a spiritual house. And this is why he has not allowed another temple to be built. The third Jewish temple is not being ordained by our Father Yahuwah in the heavens. This temple is being built in rebellion and apostasy and to despise him, because our temple bodies are the temple. This is where we're at. That temple that he restored, that plan, that doctrine has been watered down and is unrecognizable now as far as the first century, the way it was taught in the first century. And so now he's restoring all things. He's restoring his people. He's restoring his Torah. He's restoring his covenant. He's restoring everything associated with the order of Melchizedek, the ancient order. In 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 3 and 4, it says, let no man deceive you by any means, for unless rebellion, the falling away, the defection of apostasy against the Torah comes first, and the man of lawlessness is unveiled. This is the son of destruction. This is Mastema. This is the one who killed the firstborn in the Exodus, in the first Exodus. So I am referring to the one setting himself up against and exalting himself above all that is called Yahuwah Elohim. so that he sits as Elohim in the dwelling place of Elohim, in our temple bodies, proclaiming that he himself is Elohim. Beloved brothers and sisters, we know here that our temple bodies, it is the living dwelling place of Elohim. He does not sit in temples made with hands. And we know, brothers and sisters, that we are living in the times where many are holding hands with Satan, having evil inclinations. They have drifted far away from the Father. The art of obedience is not known. The fear of the Most High has disappeared. Faith is diminishing very quickly, very, very rapidly. And so, beloved brothers and sisters, let us continue here. Brother Robert, 2 Corinthians 13, 5 and 7.
Examine yourselves daily to make sure that you are in the emunah in Messiah. Test yourselves. Don't you know that Yahushua HaMashiach is in you? If this is not true, then you are disapproved. Now I pray to Yahuwah that you do no evil. Not that we should appear to have met the test and approved, but that you may be found doing good things which are honorable. Even though you may do good, though we may seem to have failed, unapproved, and appear as though we were rejected. Appearances are nothing. Be encouraged.
Hallelujah. Thank you, my brother. Yes. We are not to look at appearances. We are not to look at other people. We will be sadly disappointed, and we will see many things happening in our day to where those that are put in a high level on a pedestal are now falling away. What they're doing in secret, they're being exposed by the Father. Many high profile pastors, shepherds are being brought low by their own works that they do in secret. This is no secret. It is happening in our day. Beloved brothers, it says here, we are to do no evil. And that word evil is worthless. Belial. So remember, we learned that the sons of Belial were the sons of Eli. And so this is what's happening, that Satan, by those that know and those that do not know through their ignorance, he's using them to come against their own people in all religions, in all walks of life, in all colors, and that we are to choose the things which are honorable. And you remember in 1 Samuel, we learned, the word tells us there, he says, I will no longer do what I was doing. In other words, there's going to be a transition from the sons of Belial, from the king of Saul, to now the sons of Zadok and King David. And this is what we're going through right now. We're seeing that right now. We're seeing that. This is nothing new under the sun. We're seeing a repetition of what happened in ancient Israel today before our eyes, that the sons of Belial are being exposed, just as we have also in the United States have chosen a King Saul. And all of this is going to be exposed, beloved brothers and sisters. Father's going to bring it to fruition. And those that have ears that hear will understand what I'm saying today regarding these things. So let us not look at appearances. Let us be encouraged. We will see people that you would thought that were sinners, that were not in right standing, be raised up to a high level in our day. And that is because of their emunah. That is because of their prayers. That is because they go and feed the hungry. That is because they have a very good relationship with the Father. And everyone will not agree with what they do. They actually have turned against them and have used their own words against them. And they are the sect of a heresy. And so, beloved brothers, we need to be awakened to the real Messiah, the real plan in the scriptures. And that's what we'll look at today.
In 1970, it was purchased by a group of Benedictine monks and taken likely without the Jordanian authorities' permission to their monastery on the German-Austrian border. Upon his passing in 1977, one of the group, Father Gustav Matthias, gave his photographs and hand transcriptions of the scroll to an unnamed college administrator. He in turn handed the material over to Stephen Fan, a member of the team of scholars translating the scrolls held by the Israeli government, and his findings were released to the news outlet the Jerusalem Report. Fan stated that if the scroll is a hoax, it's a very good one, as it's still a serious literary work. However, given its perceived legitimacy at the time of its 1999 reveal, where it even garnered the attention of the international media, in the 25 years since, no further information about the text has been made to the public. Consequently, this has led many to conclude that the parchment is just another Dead Sea Scrolls forgery, despite no one involved in its discovery ever gaining anything from its alleged notoriety. Yet, in the 2 decades since, rumors that the scroll may have been confiscated from the Benedictine monks, transported to Rome, and sealed deep within the Vatican archives persist. The question is, why would the Vatican want to keep the scroll hidden? Well, the answer may include hints within its texts to time travel and a near future event that may significantly change the course of human history in ways no one could possibly anticipate. That being a full-scale invasion. The question is, an invasion from where and by whom?
Okay, beloved. So this clip is very interesting because it's telling us about a scroll that was found that very few people do not know of it. But this angel scroll is very important because we're going to dig into this, because we are going to deconstruct all the lies that we've been told and to see where we at in time, where we at right now. Are we in tribulation? Are we not in tribulation? Where are we in the seals of Revelation? And how is this happening? How can we tie it in? So first of all, where is Satan's throne today? We must understand that in the catacombs of the Vatican, there's a relic of Lucifer there. Lucifer is just a title. It just means the illuminated one, the light. He turns into an angel of light, but that is not his real name. That is a title. His original name was Hallel. In the book of Enoch, he's called Gadrel, but he is our adversary. Now we know that he must be in the Vatican because the last beast of the empire of Nebuchadnezzar's statue, the legs, it is the kingdom that's on the earth right now, but it is not as we all see it. So we're going to go deep today on this. Revelation 6, 1 and 2, Brother Robert.
Now I watched then the Lamb opened one of the 7 seals, and I heard one of the 4 living creatures say with a voice like thunder, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a white horse, and its rider had a bow, and a crown was given to him. And he came out conquering, and intent to conquer.
Thank you, brother. So the intent was to conquer, and he has a bow and a crown on his head, like the white horse rider on the screen. Now, we know that he's the conqueror for Satan in the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire still rules today. It is the matrix, the construct of sin. And so let's see, what is a bow in Scripture? A bow is an instrument of war. It is to bring together and pressed, or the stiffness of a branch for making bows or snares. So it's a snare, but it also uses the word branch, and we are the branches that have been grafted into the olive branch, Israel. Okay, Hosea 7:16 gives us a little bit more detail here. It says here that they return, but not to the Most High. They are like a treacherous or deceitful bow. It also says that they turn aside to that which is not. So they're turning away from the covenant. They're turning away from the Torah. They are turning away from the original belief, which is called the way of Yahuwah. And so I'm equating the bow to a covenant. Father works in covenant. The enemy is going to work in covenants. And so we are offered a covenant, and so does the enemy. And so they have offered a covenant. And if you study religion, you will see that there is a covenant that's being offered, just like it was in the days when they made the golden calf, because there's got to be a confirmation, a consuming meal, a blood ratification. And the golden calf, they use gold, their own gold, to make this golden calf. And they agreed to it. and there was a consuming meal afterwards. So that was a covenant that the children of Israel did make in the wilderness. And so today, in most religions, there is also a covenant that is made in the way of Easter, in the way of coming together in different other feasts that are not of Yahuwah. And so I want to bring that to attention, that there are covenants that we come into and that we need to be careful. And if we don't study ourselves approve, we can come and be in consent of a covenant. So let us be careful. Let us continue. Now, we're going to talk about these things right here. We're going to talk about the UN and all the countries and how this plays out in tribulation from 2017 on Day of Atonement to 2024 Day of Atonement. And we're going to talk about the UFOs and the Vatican. Why the Vatican? Because the Vatican is the conqueror. He is the rider on the white horse. That is where Satan's throne is in Rome. And then we're going to talk about the angel scroll. It is the manual for the invasion of the fallen hierarchy of messengers, the fallen angels. This is their deceptive plan to usurp our consent. In the secret societies, the enemy who transfers himself as an angel of light tells them that they must do away with all the believers. If they have a relationship with the Father and they are set apart, then they want to put their light out. They want to make sure that when Messiah returns, there's not going to be anyone on the earth blameless in covenant status and with mountain moving faith. Therefore, he has to forfeit his throne. And that means that Satan wins and that he will establish a kingdom with all his people in secret societies. That is what he tells them. We will also talk about this watcher that is spoken about in the angel scroll. Could he be the Abaddon of the book of Revelation? It says that he time travels from other dimensions. Well, we know that the messengers can do things, but let us go into scriptures and define that, because we're hearing a lot of things. We're hearing Project Bluebeam. We're hearing a lot of disclosures, but they're not telling us the truth. They're giving us their truth. And then we will talk about how does 2025 play out with the UN, the Vatican, and Jerusalem, because they are all one team. And we're going to talk about the leaven of Herod working with Rome as it was in the first century. It is being done today. So here we're getting deeper on this angel scroll. Why are they dealing with the Vatican? And we know now because they are the white horse who have conquered through the Roman Empire the world. It is the empire that is at play right now. It is the two legs of Daniel's interpretation of the dream. And now this is involving the USA, and it's also involving the state of Israel. It is part of this plan. Remember that we are all pawns in the game, whatever color, race, or creed. The people of Israel are being pawns by their government, just like we are here. Same, no difference. We have beautiful people over there that love Yahuwah, that love Messiah, but are being played as pawns in the game, just like we are here and all over the world. And so it is not to judge or anything. It is to bring edification and to cry out for those people that need prayer on what is about to occur this year and beyond. Again, Satan is not divided. All the secret societies that operate under Satan through the UN are under one mind in the plan to eliminate and destroy Yahuwah's people. The world is a stage where the father of lies is the master of illusion. The matrix is a construct of sin. We must not operate in that realm. These are the chaotic waters where collectivism and the order out of chaos is programmed into us to keep us as slaves to the taskmaster because of the fleshly desires of comfort to live as the world do. Our will must not be our own. Our will must be as the will of Messiah that he did on earth. We must imitate him. The prison meals are the fast food that keep us sick. The yard of the prison is the social media. Our prison uniform is the fashion trends because of the fleshly desires of comfort to live as the world does. The gangs in the prison are our own people that divide us to the left and to the right, to not bring unity and understanding of the word of Yahuwah. We are a stumbling block. We are the prison guards that keep us from not escaping. But beloved, a prison escape is never easy. You will be hunted down, but it's all worth it. And the biggest achievement towards being truly free in Messiah is being free indeed, in mind and in spirit. Now the sons of Zadok, they wrote in the war scroll, and this matches and ties in with the war scroll. Brother Robert.
The rule of Kittim will come to an end. The Roman matrix system from the war scroll 4Q496 that ties to the angel scroll. And on a day on which the Kittim fall, there will be a battle and savage destruction before the Elohim of Israel. For this will be a day determined by him since ancient times for the war of extermination against the sons of darkness. On this day, the assembly of the gods, ascended masters, and on the congregation of man shall confront each other with great destruction. The sons of light and the lot of the darkness shall battle together for Elohim's might, between the roar of a huge multitude and the shout of gods and of men, on the day of the calamity.
Thank you, my brother. So here, this is very descriptive detail on what the sons of Zadok received from the Shamaim, because they were dealing with messengers. They were dealing with angels, with Malachim. And so this is where they received their knowledge. And it says there that on the day which Kittim is known as Rome. And if you don't know, the Zionists call USA the new Rome. And their rabbis say that the president of the new Rome, which is Trump, will anoint their Messiah. So what they're telling us is that just as John the Baptist, the immerser, was the forerunner to the Messiah, in their words, they're letting us know that Trump or someone around him is the forerunner to their Messiah that they're preparing to bring. And so this is what we're facing. This is what is being spoken in the scriptures. And this is what's happening today. Jubilees talks about calamity. And this is what's going to be happening as the four horsemen unite and they come into a crescendo. And this is what will happen. It says here in Jubilees 23 verse 12, and in those days, and this is beginning this year, 2025, if a man lives a jubilee and a half of years, that means 75 years. And it's true. Today, if someone says, I'm 75, people say regarding him, wow, he has lived long. But the greater part of his days are pain and sorrow and tribulation, and there is no peace. Many live like this. Another part of the prison is when we're housed now in nursing homes. And so now you see people 75 and under in these nursing homes. And so this is true what Jubilees is saying. This is what Moshe wrote. Because calamity follows on calamity, wound on wound, tribulation on tribulation, and evil words on evil words, and sickness on sickness, and all evil judgments such as these, one with another, sickness and overthrow, and snow and frost and ice, and fever and chills, and languishing, and scarcity of food, death and a sword, and captivity, and all kinds of calamities and pain. And all these things will come on an evil generation which transgresses the earth. Their works are uncleanliness and whoring and pollution and abominations. The book of Enoch tells us the same thing, that he wrote this book. His book that he wrote was for a remote generation, a generation that would transgress on the earth the Torah, that their works would be unclean. The same words that Moshe is speaking here, Enoch spoke. These are the same words that are speaking in Isaiah 24 concerning that the inhabitants of the earth transgress the laws and the covenant of Yahuwah. So, beloved brothers, this is what's going on right now. That's where we're at. There's nothing that I can tell you to make it better. This is what is being done in front of everyone's eyes, if you have eyes to see. Now, I'm going to show you a clip on what collectivism is, so we can get an understanding. This is what they use to control us.
Agenda 21 is kind of a code name for a master plan originated at the United Nations to change the political and economic system of the world to one of total collectivism. And in order to do that, people must not be allowed to have independence. They must be dependent on the state for everything. Otherwise, they won't be easily controlled by the state. That means they can't have private property, mostly. They cannot have land of their own. They have to live in, preferably, high-rise apartments that are provided to them by the state as a benefit, so to speak. Oh, good, we got a free apartment. But these people at the top want all humans to be dependent on the largesse of the state. That means that they don't want anybody living out in the boonies. Anybody that's got a couple of acres of land and his own water supply and can grow his own food and that kind of thing, or have some sheep or some chickens, these people are a threat to the collectivist society because they aren't going to go to the politicians and say, please feed me, please clothe me, please give me shelter. They tend to be independent. That's the secret behind Agenda 21. They want people out of the country. They want corporations out there growing all the food and that kind of thing, but they don't want anybody living out there because that way they cannot be controlled. In order to control mankind, we have to get them all into the big cities. We have to rack them up and stack them up, get them dependent on the state for their food, their shelter, their electrical power, their water, everything. That's the dirty secret behind Agenda 21. It's not easy to define the word collectivism in a few sentences because there are so many aspects to it. But it is easy enough to recognize a few of the major aspects, and you'll recognize it. One of the major aspects of collectivism is that it's based on the principle that the individual must be sacrificed if necessary for the greater good of the greater number. You'll find that under all forms of collectivism, whether it be Nazism, communism, fascism, socialism, or neoconism, or whatever you want to do. All of these forms of collectivism have that fundamental philosophy or ideology beneath it. Now, that sounds pretty good to many people. It sounded good to me when I was in school and learning about the greater good of the greater number. After all, we've been taught that we live in a democracy and therefore the majority should rule and all of these things which sound very good if you don't probe too deeply. And so many people think that that's a good concept, but it's a terrible concept when you follow it to its roots. Because you see, there's no such thing as a group. A group doesn't really exist. It's all in the mind. The word group is an abstraction. It symbolizes in our minds the concept of many individuals. But group does not exist by itself. You cannot touch a group. You can touch individuals only. It's similar to the concept of the word forest. You can look at a forest, you say, well, I'm looking at a forest, but you're not. You're looking at trees. They're only trees, and so the word forest is this abstraction for the concept of many trees. And the same thing is true in social structures. The word group is a very deceptive word. We think that the group somehow has rights. Well, since there is no such thing as a group, we're really dealing with the concept of many individuals having somehow more rights than a smaller group of individuals. And so that really, if you follow it all the way to its core, is a question of mathematics. Collectivism is based on the substance that three people really have the right to tell two people what to do regardless, because there's 3 against 2. And once you boil it down to the issue of mathematics, it falls apart, because human rights are not based on mathematics.
Okay, so this is what they use. They use that concept of collectivism in all forms of government, whether it's democracy, socialism, fascism, Nazism, communism. The end goal is the same. It's totalitarianism. And so that must be understood. That is what's being set up right now. It's none of that. It's totalitarianism. They want total control of our thoughts, minds, and our actions. Now, in Revelation, it talks about the angel of the bottomless pit, which I believe is the watcher that was referring to in the angel scroll. And it reads, they, the locusts, the demons, the fallen ones, the high-ranking humans in the occult. Believe it or not, brothers, I believe that today there are people that look like humans that are not humans. They're something else. They're other than humans. And so these people that are in these secret societies, that are in our governments, that are all over the world, have a king over them. And he is the Malak, the angel, the messenger of the bottomless pit. His name in Hebrew is Abaddon. That is destruction. Again, this is Mastema. And in the Greek, he's called Apollyon. That is the destroyer, or Shiva in Hindu at CERN. That statue at CERN is the destroyer. And this is the first woe that has passed. Behold, 2 woes are still to come. Now, remember, a couple of weeks ago, there was a lady. I found a video where this lady was not a believer, but Father used her. The stones are crying out, and she said a woe is coming. This is part of that woe, the big woe that's coming. This right here that we're studying today. And so Daniel says that this angel, this messenger from the bottomless pit, he will prosper until the indignation is accomplished, until Messiah himself, the Father, and him destroy this beast system, this matrix. And so that is what we're dealing right now. We're dealing with this Abaddon that is about to come onto the scene. And this is what we read in 2 Thessalonians earlier, that the son of destruction is to be unveiled, and he must be disclosed before the Messiah appears. And today, beloved, we have so many believers. It's sad. We have so many believers. They're saying that they're hearing from the Father, and they're having visions and dreams that they're going to be raptured. But according to the scriptures, it is the lawless one, the destroyer, the Mastema, is going to be revealed first. He is going to be disclosed. He is going to be unveiled first. So the lawless one is the destroyer. And Brother Paul speaks about him in 1 Corinthians 10:9, where he says, let us not tempt the Messiah, as some of them also tempted him in the wilderness, and were destroyed of the serpents. Neither murmur, as some of them murmured, and they were destroyed by the destroyer. This is the same destroyer, the Mastema. And so the destroyer is the angel of death that I spoke about in the first century, the powers of Mastema, sent to kill the firstborn. And this is spoken in the book of Jubilees. Now, in the Damascus document, 20 verse 2, it speaks. It says, on the day in which a man imposes himself, he makes a confession by mouth. He imposes on himself to return to the Torah of Moshe. The angel of Mastema will depart from him if he makes good on his word. His word shall never frustrate the Torah, the law, to cancel even at the risk of death. So this is what we're having, brothers and sisters. We're seeing that many will soon, at the risk of death, will deny Torah, will deny Messiah, will deny the covenant. This is why we need to be on fire. Our lives do not matter anymore. It is all about him. We are just vessels. And if we die, we live. In the book of Maccabees, we read there was 7 children that a mother had. And they were asked by Antiochus to eat pig's flesh. And they all said no. And they all died brutally. That is the kind of faith, that is the kind of emunah we are to have our things, to have our minds set on the heavenly things. And they prove it to us in these writings. Let us continue with another verse from the Dead Sea Scrolls. This is 1M 8:14. Brother Robert.
You, Yahuwah, made Belial for the pit, angel of enmity, and darkness in his domain. His counsel is to bring about wickedness and guilt. All the spirits of his law are angels of destruction. They will walk in the laws of darkness. Towards it goes their only desire. We, instead, in the law of your truth, rejoice in your mighty hand. We exult in your salvation. We revel in your aid, your peace.
Okay, thank you, brother. So they also speak about the Belial for the pit. This is why I was telling you about the sons of Belial that is operating on the earth right now. And so the angel from the pit, Mastema, the angel of destruction, he's also known as Belial, for the sons of Belial, the sons of worthlessness. And so there's a transition right now going on as we're seeing vast of false teachings of a different spirit. And while at the same time, we're seeing a transition of those that are seeking truth and finding it. And the Father is restoring things with them. It's for everyone who sets their mind and seeks the Father and not goes along to get along and comes out of these religions. Government means it's the control of the mind, but religion is the control of the soul. And so we are to come out of both. Both are part of the matrix system. Not religion, but we are to be devoted. Devotion is the right word. We are to be devoted, not in religion, but devotion. Because just as Yahuwah, our Father, is devoted to us, we should be devoted to him. And here, the word enmity means baseless hatred. And so just like they hated the Messiah, they're going to hate us too. It is going to be baseless. Okay, they're going to think that we are some kind of, they already do think that we're some kind of cult, some kind of heretics. And it says here that the carnal mind is the enmity, the baseless hatred against Yahuwah. For the carnal mind is not subject to the Torah of Yahuwah, neither can it be. This is spoken by brother Shaul, brother Paul in Romans. Now, he also wrote in Ephesians 2:15 that in his flesh, he caused the enmity due to man-made laws to cease from creating a one new man. So this is talking about the house of Judah and the house of Ephraim, and also those that have been grafted in among them, that there was enmity, baseless hatred between them. But now, through the Messiah, he's restoring the two sticks to become one. The new creation, the one new man, to be born from above in the power and dominion of the ancient order of Melchizedek. And that is what he's bringing in the last days. Just as Satan, as we're seeing, is establishing his government and his kingdom, our Father from the Shemayim is also establishing his government and his kingdom with those that are seeking him. And this is my plea to you, that you seek Yahuwah in all his ways and to ask him to show you that what I'm saying is true or not. So it must be understood that, again, that Satan needs our consent and participation in the world stage, because the world is an illusion. And so that we can break Torah. It is all about covenant. In these last days, before the end of the age, it's all about covenant. It's about you guarding the covenant or not. If you are guarding the covenant, you are the son of light or the daughter of light. And if you fail to do that, then you are the son of darkness. There is no in between. Just like the lukewarm people will be spitted out. We must be hot or cold, but not lukewarm. Now we're going to talk about the externalization of the hierarchy. And I've been talking a lot about that. So I'm going to go deep today on this subject, because we've been hearing about an invasion of aliens. And it's not aliens. These are the fallen angels. And we also know that there are demons that look like humans, that are very high ranking demons that are a little bit lower than the angels. And so this is the master plan of deception. It is to be seen here on earth openly. But before I show you this, I'm going to tie in, because we know that the plan of Satan involves religion, economy, and government. So let's look at religion.
From a group called the Mysterious Force. That's actually where Freemasonry came from. And this following information is from a book called The Origin of Masonry. The mysterious force was established in 43 AD, and it started when a counselor to King Herod Agrippa came to him and complained that the followers of Jesus had a mysterious force. So the purpose of this group was to attack the teachings of Jesus, and that they should establish their own mysterious force in order to preserve Judaism. King Herod Agrippa said, quote, "We will use the hammer because it was used to nail Jesus' hands and feet. Every session will be opened by striking the hammer 3 times," end quote. And you notice that judges have the hammer to bring order to the court. King Herod Agrippa said, quote, "We will make degrees. These will be 33, symbolizing the age of the impostor." And on November 43 AD, the first official session was held in the first temple of Jerusalem, which was a basement in the palace of King Herod Agrippa. The meeting of the mysterious force was always held in the temple. That was the name, the temple. And in 1717, modern Freemasonry changed it to the name of a lodge. To prove that Masonry is of Jewish origin, we'll hear the following quotes. The Rabbi Isaac Weiss wrote in 1855, quote, "Masonry is a Jewish institution whose history, degrees, assignments, signs, and explanations are of Jewish nature from beginning to end," end quote. Masonic lodges are established all over the world to offer us help to achieve our independence. Those pigs and non-Jewish Masons will never understand the final objects of Masonry, end quote.
I know that was very strong content. It is history. It is what's happening. We cannot sugarcoat it. It is what it is. Many people are pawns in the game. And so we must not be their pawns of the game anymore. And so I've been saying that in the first century, that if 10 people were brutally murdered, that another 50 or 100 would join in the followers of the way. And now you see why. Because there was a mysterious force. It was the Ruach HaKodesh that was operating with power in those days. And it was that power that was causing those that were spectating, that were watching the people getting brutally murdered, that where they would join in and they would get murdered too. And see, we know that there is an outpouring of the Ruach HaKodesh. Soon it'll be coming back again. We will have another outpouring, a great outpouring. And that outpouring will be doing the same thing that it did in the first century.
You will be my witnesses in Jerusalem.
We will have that power to overcome.
Judea,
but we have to die to self before we
and
can
to the
even get it.
ends
And so there's things that
Go
we must
into the
do
world
now, because otherwise
preach
that Ruach will pass us by. And the Ruach in the spirit and power of Eliyahu, it could be the double portion that Elisha received. And so the mysterious force, they wanted to mimic it, just like Simon Magus. He wanted to buy the Ruach from Peter, and he gave him money, and it offended Peter, and he threw the money back at him. But you see this, you see that the repetition here. Even Messiah in the New Covenant writing says, in the last days, beware of the leaven of Herod, and also beware of the leaven of the Pharisees. We know that in the first century, and we have it in their writings from the rabbis, they say that Judaism is what occurred, what was brought out of Phariseeism. So Judaism is Phariseeism. Now, however, there are many different types of Judaism. So we're not going to put them all as one. There are some brothers in Judaism that still try to follow the Torah the right way. They might not know Messiah, but they're without tradition, and they are doing it as best as they can. And so we pray for them too. But for those that are in the echelon of the secret societies, that are in the 33rd degree Freemasonry circles in the governments, those are the ones where that control the people, that are the pawns. And so let us go to a scripture here. Revelations 13:7, it was permitted to the first beast, this is the little horn of the book of Daniel, which is Rome, to wage war with the Kodeshim, the set apart ones, the saints, and to conquer them. Also, authority was given unto it over every tribe, people, language, and nation. until the Ancient of Days comes, according to Daniel 7:21. So, beloved brothers, Satan has a plan. Satan uses three areas. First, he uses the religious, the economic, and the political. These are the three unclean frogs. But we need to know who Satan is. Satan is very sad that many believers in the faith today are taking seriously the profile of Satan on who he is. The word says he's the Elohim, the God of this world. What does that mean? It means that he's the high potentate magistrate. He's anointed. He's a cherub. He can take the laws at will. They are prisoners of war. Now, high potentate magistrate is the same title as our Father and Son. And so, but he's the God of time, of this world. He has made laws and used people to pass his laws in every nation of the world, especially those nations that are tied to the UN. And this is going to come out to play here in a little bit. It's all going to tie together. Really, really beautiful. And so a lot of people do not understand that he has a plan. And it has to be a very detailed plan and highly sophisticated plan if he is to have any chance of achieving his ambitions. He wants to control the world openly, not just covertly as he's doing it right now. He wants to be worshipped as Elohim by all humanity. And to do this, he must undermine and destroy all beliefs that the true set apart ones believe and they hold to. And remember, in the book of Isaiah, he says, I will ascend above the heights. I will sit upon the mount. I will exalt my throne above the stars, and the stars are us. So he wants us to worship him. And then he says, I will ascend onto the heaven. So he wants to disrupt not only the ministry on earth, but the ministry on the heavens that is taking place right now. So he has a huge ambition. And so he's been working on this for a very, very long time. And what we're about to see, because the book of Matthew tells us that in the times that are approaching right now, it will be like no other day since ever a nation was created, nor will it ever be. And this ties in with Daniel, where we will see things that we have never seen. Greater than Moses, we will see greater works. The plagues of Egypt will be intensified in our days. And that is because of the sins of the world. So we must operate from the heavens and not on the earth, not on the earthly desires. So, beloved brothers, these three city-states are the Vatican that operates the religious, the city of London. They operate the Bar Association worldwide. If you want to become an attorney in every part of the world, you must be part of the Bar Association that is tied to the city of London, where the house of the Rothschilds is. And the third unclean frog is Washington, D.C. And they are the military of the world. We are the ones that are used as Israel's broom to go against everyone in the Middle East. We are used all over the world, and our soldiers pay a heavy price for it. And so we are being used. We are a power that they are using to get their way. And so the leaven of Herod plays into Satan's agenda of the hierarchy. So what is this leaven of Herod? It's part of the religious government, as we just saw. Herod is under Rome. It wasn't that Herod was chosen by the Father. It wasn't that Caiaphas was chosen. He wasn't the right high priest in the first century. It wasn't him. It wasn't Caiaphas. It was John, the immerser, the Baptist. That was the high priest. That's why Messiah went to him. And King Herod, he was not even a Yahudi. He was an Edomite. And he was operating and working with Rome, just like they are doing today. They're working with Rome. Matter of fact, they're not only working with Rome, they have usurped Rome, the Jesuits, and they have taken over the Vatican. And so it is not the Vatican, the Gentiles running the Vatican anymore. It is the high-ranking ones in the secret societies that serve Satan. And those are the ones that I'm talking about, that are controlling the Vatican. With that being said,
today, we want to show you a prophetic shift that occurred when the Temple Mount came back into Jewish hands, opening the door to the building of the third Jewish temple.
That very soon we will all see the building of the third temple in Jerusalem.
The Zionist Jews have announced many times that they would build the third temple on the Temple Mount. But this year, they are dead serious about it. The red heifers imported from Texas in 2022 are now 3 years old, which means they are ready for a purification ritual according to the Torah. This makes them eligible for the ceremony needed for the third temple preparation. But why the Jews are very silent about it? Well, actually they are not silent. The leak information from the Temple Institute officials, the red heifer ceremony will take place in the Passover holiday 2025. Just recently, the Sanhedrin, a Jewish religious authority, has called all Jews around the world to return to the Holy Land, and they should be ready to build the third temple. The Sanhedrin has also called for global participation in the rebuilding of the third temple, and the current U.S. President Donald Trump, urging them to support the rebuilding the third temple. However, the construction of third temple had actually begun months ago in secret, but they did not expose it on the internet. They have learned that since they brought 5 red heifer to the Holy Land, they have captured the attention of Muslim not only in Palestine and Middle East, but also around the world.
the red heifers had not been slaughtered yet, so they are scheduled to be slaughtered pretty soon. So this is all being done in 2025. 2025, we're starting to see a lot of things here happening. I did not know that the Temple Mount does not belong to the Muslims anymore. I didn't know that. I just learned that. Let us continue with the hierarchy. What is it? The externalization of the hierarchy is the externalization of the mind, and the hierarchy is the fallen angels. And the externalization of the mind means that they are now teaching the occult to the average person, because they want to implement the meditation, the New Age philosophy to the whole world. So when the bottom, from the destroyer, the lawless one, the anti-Messiah comes, then the earth will now be in the pure worship of Lucifer. That's what he wants. He wants to fulfill his 5 I wills. That is the plan for him, and he will do anything to do it. And he has been given permission by the Father. He has been given permission to wage war with the set apart ones, to conquer them. And authority was given to it for every tribe, people, and language. Every tribe, people, everyone on earth. So the hierarchy referred to in the title is the hierarchy of the fallen angels. And so since they are restricted in the extent to which they can interfere in human affairs, so in other words, humans have to reach out to them. They can't reach out to humans. And we have reached out to them through CERN and through mediums. This book right here, this title comes from a book that was given to Alice Bailey, and she wrote the book by telepathic writing. It was a demon or an angel that came on her, and he wrote it while he was in her body, just like Satan came into Judas Iscariot. So men want to always open themselves to these angels to obtain material benefits, psychic powers, personal talents, mystical experiences, Kabbalistic experiences, and supernatural influences, albeit at the price of their souls. And so this includes yoga, divinations, necromancy, sorcery, the use of psychedelic drugs, astral projection, consciousness, visualization. These are the things that are being taught in the secret societies that have crept into the Christian churches. This is no different than black magic, white magic, Santeria, the things they do in Africa, all these dark, black, evil magic, that is all in one bucket. Concerning the white horse, I want to point out that the Council of Foreign Relations in the United States, their logo has a white horse. And at the bottom of the white horse, you can see there's a VBIQVE, and that is the root word for ubiquitous. And it is Roman for everywhere. And so that means that since Satan is not omnipresent, he has people on earth, along with his demons, with the fallen angels, guarding over the souls of men and directing them to sin in the matrix. Now, the fallen angels are the ones that have the principalities all over the world. So it is a structure, it is a government. And so the ones at the very top controlling the principality is a fallen angel. And then you have demons under them doing they're the foot soldiers. Now, you can have a nation that could have one principality, and you can have a nation like the United States that has many principalities. And you can even have in the United States, and I say United States because it's happening here, that a principality can even be a man. So who's to say that Trump is not a principality? We don't know. Something to consider. Now, this is a statue at the lawn of the UN, and it's basically a man with a spear and a sword killing the dragon. But if you can see, it's all like old parts. So it's like the world, he's defeating the old world because a new world is coming. There's something here being told to us in this scenario. But it is order out of chaos, basically. That is their motto, the Hegelian dialect. They give you a choice that they want you to choose, and it is a choice that everybody will beg for. And that is exactly what's going on right now. The manipulation, the program is going to continue in a higher level, and we will see our loved ones beg for things that we would never ever imagine they would beg for. And this is because of the programming and because they're not walking with their minds set up in the things of the heavens. And so I just wanted to show you that. So there's a rider on a horse at the UN lawn. So let us read now about the Revelation 6:3, the red horse. And it says here, and when he opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature say, come. And out came another horse, bright red, fire and lightning. That's what this bright red is. And the rider was permitted to take peace from the earth, and so that the people would kill one another. And so he was given a great sword. Now remember, red is mind controlled, but red also is communist, totalitarian. And so that is where we're at right now. United States was founded as a republic. The scripture says that this country was founded as a lamb with two horns, but now it speaks as a dragon. We went from republic to a democratic government, and to now I believe we're more of a socialist government going into communism, and that is transitioning very fast into a totalitarianism, and that is going to be with the help of AI. And so I don't know if anybody knows, but at the UN there is a plaque or another statue that says this. It says, they shall beat their swords to plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up a sword against another nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. And this is written in the book of Isaiah and in the book of Micah. And so, brothers and sisters, this is that false peace. This is the false peace they're promoting on earth, and it's being set up right now through Trump and the UN, the Vatican, and the banksters. This and the secret societies. This is what's being set up, brothers. This is what's being set up around the world. And these are who we called the synagogue of Satan, the synagogue of Hasatan. Now we're going to go into what they actually wrote in this book. We're going to go a little deeper here. This is from the book, The Externalization of the Hierarchy. It was written by Alice A. Bailey, who was a student of Vladimir Blavatsky. And this was written, and it's copyrighted by Lucius Trust. Now, Lucius Trust was never was not always called Lucius Trust. At first, it was called Lucifer Trust, but because it brought a lot of contention and it raised a lot of eyebrows, they modified it to Lucius Trust. These people, Alice Bailey, they worship Lucifer. This is the people that the New Age. They took it to another level. So all the New Agers, they praise Alice Bailey, Anne Besant, Madame Blavatsky. These ladies are very big to them. This is the perfect storm that is rising up. This is the dark winter. So what we're saying here, what we're reading here is not our words. We're simply quoting the enemy. We're simply quoting the source. We're simply quoting the source. Now, I also need you to understand is that the Lucis Trust, they are the publishers for the UN. So they work with the UN. They're within the UN, and I have said in videos before that the people of the UN said that you will not enter the New World Order without a pledge, without a covenant made to Lucifer. So that is true. You're either going to be in covenant with the Father through His Son, or you're going to be in covenant with Satan. And so there is no gray area in this thing here either. And so we are entering the golden age. I don't know if that sounds familiar, but we've been hearing it a lot. And this is what this book talks about, the golden age. And so let us read. It says, thus a new movement is proceeding, and a tremendous increase, interplay, and interaction is taking place. We need to look at that word, interaction. Interaction with whom? And so it says here, this is the interaction that's being taken between the initiates of the new age, the Freemasons, and the fallen ones. And this is what they're doing. They're teaching the occult to the masses. And this will go on to AD 2025. So everything is coming to fruition. 2025 is a huge number, not only for us, but for the enemy too. And so it says here, during the years intervening between now and then, very great chances will be taking place. And a great general assembly of the hierarchy held as usual every century. In 2025, the date in all ability will be set for the first stage of the externalization of the hierarchy. Okay, so the enemy's telling us here that the fallen ones, the ascended masters, that's what they call. Now, I want you to know that in this book, there are quotes from Rambam, from Judaism, and also from Christianity. And so they are bringing, this is why so many religions, so many Christians are going into meditation, yoga, and all that. This is because of these teachings that were brought forth. But now it says here, in 2025, is going to go into another level. Okay, it's going to go into another level. It's going to transition into another level. So this is why we must, as believers of the word, as soldiers of the Messiah, be attuned to what is being said here, because whatever you're doing now is not enough. You have to do more. You have to go beyond and above, because this is what the enemy's telling us. This is what this angel that had her write this, or wrote through her, was writing. And so it says here, the present cycle from now until that date is called technically the stage of the forerunner. And earlier we discussed that the rabbis are saying that Trump is to anoint their Mashiach that's coming. And I said that John the Immerser, John the Baptist, was the forerunner to anointing the Hamashiach, the Messiah. So there's a lot of correlation here going on. What is the stage of the forerunner? Is he the one preparing the way for the anti-Messiah? I believe so. So it says here that the stage is set until 2025. The date is set when the hierarchy will begin to physically realm the earth, meaning we will see them face to face. This is what's going to be happening here. So I know that we've been hearing about, the Blue Beam Project and other things, but the enemy itself is telling us that they will be coming on the earth and we will see them face to face. It says it is a preparatory in nature, testing in its methods, and intended to be revelatory in its techniques and results. You can see, therefore, that the Kohans, the masters, the initiates, the world disciples, the disciples and the aspirants affiliated with the hierarchy are all at this time passing through a cycle of great activity. This is what they call the chakras. This is what they call ascending. They also call themselves to be workers of light. And so this is happening. This is why you're now seeing many people pretending or saying that they have the Ruach when it is not the Ruach. It is this. This is this spirit that is being perpetuated in the world. It is a false spirit that is being perpetuated in the world and not the Ruach HaKodesh. And so we have a great falling away. This is the age of deception, and it is being explained right here in this book to us today to confirm what the Ruach has already taught us in the scriptures. The sons of darkness, they're going to be masquerading as light. You see, so if this is when the persecution will begin now. So after 2025, when they make their arrival, they will, whatever they say will be the accepted norm. And whatever the scripture tells us, whatever the Ruach is teaching us, it'll be against them. We will be the enemies. So there's great persecution that's coming. There's another inquisition. Not only that, Project 2025 would be implemented with the Sunday law and also the Noahide laws. That is also coming into play. There's going to be a great apostasy from the Torah of Moshe. And so it'll be calamities upon calamities, as stated by Henry Kissinger. Henry Kissinger said that we will establish the New World Order either by consent or by force. And that's what's happening, because many are not consenting and are waking up. They're using lasers, they're using directive energy to establish their goal. Their goal is going to come through. They have been given authority and been permitted to do that in the scriptures. So that tells you right there, if they're doing these things, that we are in the tribulation. We are in the time of Jacob's trouble. So for those that are listening and think that you're going to be raptured and you're not going to go through any of this, well, beloved brother, you must awake to righteousness and sin not. Because if we are in the tribulation, you are not going to be raptured. You must prepare your mind, your soul, to the authentic Messiah and his authentic teachings, and to come out of her, my people, and to come out into the truth. And so we pray for everyone who is struggling to understand what they must do, whether we keep the laws or not. So we are to be sent out as sheep, as shepherds, to everyone who we encounter, and tell them the truth that we are to keep the Torah, we are to keep the laws, do it in a loving way, so that the righteousness in keeping the Torah will protect them in the day of trouble. And so I want to show you another clip.
Wernher von Braun, one of America's chief rocket scientists during the space race, believed the government would present the public with an extraterrestrial threat.
Okay, Wernher von Braun was a Nazi, and he was brought over to the United States during Operation Paperclip by the Vatican. No one in NASA can be in the top, can even be part of NASA if they're not a Freemason.
When I was a corporate manager of Fairchild Industries in 1974 through 77, I met the late Dr. Werner von Braun in early 74. At that time, von Braun was dying of cancer, but he assured me that he would live a few more years in order to tell me about the game that was being played, that game being the effort to weaponize space, to control the Earth from space and space itself. The strategy that Werner von Braun taught me was that first the Russians are going to be considered to be the enemy. In fact, when I met him in 74, they were the enemy, the identified enemy. We were told that they had killer satellites. We were told that they were coming to get us and control us, the dirty commies, that whole story. First, the Russians were the enemy against whom we're going to build space-based weapons. Then terrorists would be identified, and that was soon to follow. We heard a lot about terrorism. Then we were going to identify third world country crazies. We now call them nations of concern. But he said that would be the third enemy against whom we would be needing to build space-based weapons. And the next enemy was asteroids. Now at this point, he kind of chuckled the first time he said it. Asteroids, against asteroids, we're going to build space-based weapons. So it was funny then. And the funniest one of all was against what he called aliens, extraterrestrials. That would be the final card. And over and over and over, during the 4 years that I knew him and was giving his speeches for him, he would bring up that last card. And remember, Carol, the last card is the alien card. We're going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens. And all of it, he said, is a lie. A lie. I think I was too naive to know at that time the seriousness of the nature of the spin that was being put on the system. And now the pieces are starting to fall into place.
Okay, so we've been fed this spin that there is going to be a false blue beam invasion or something like that. But there's truth in it. The fallen ones will make an appearance. It is not going to be as they told us, but they will make an appearance. And that is to bring in that government, the full government of Satan. And he openly is going to rule the world openly, no more hidden. And this, I believe, will take place in 2028, around Passover, around April. And so if I'm correct in my assessment of the tribulation, so I stand corrected if I'm wrong, but this is what I have. And I will show you how I came to that in a little bit as we continue. And so let us continue here. Now, the same book says today, human beings as a whole are so loudly evocative that the entire trend of the life of the hierarchy and its plans to date have been subjected to change. We need to understand what they meant. They were subjected to change because Satan has always wanted to implement his government on earth and operate openly. But because the Father is in control and he is in charge, he has set him aside. So that's why he has to put a clause subject to change. And so, and this is the reason I believe that Trump served 4 years and then come in the puppet Biden, which is of the same bird, two birds of the same wing, same philosophy, same concept, collectivism, to fool the masses, but yet it was the synagogue of Satan's right-hand man, their man, to come in during this time, during the times of darkness, during the times of a famine, the last 7 years, to implement what he needs to do, because now Father Yahuwah has now given him permission and authority to go against the set apart ones, the Kodeshim, the saints that are truly serving him. This is where we're at. This is where we're at. And it's all being stated to happen this year. So its plans to date have been subject to change, to postponement, as far as certain interior and purely hierarchical determinations are concerned, and to a hastening of certain plans which were slated, if I may use such a word, to take place several centuries later than this, but which owning to the unexpected preparedness of humanity, can take place. Now is the time. They are ready now. Not prematurely, really, but securely in the fullness of time. In the fullness of time as regards the particular planning which we are dealing. It is from now until the year 2025 AD, which we're living right now, as a brief period of time indeed, in which to see the consummation of the larger purpose of the planetary logos working through three major centers within the body of manifestation. This purpose was threefold in nature. Okay, let us this down. It says here, the fullness. We know in our scriptures, it says until the fullness of the Gentiles come in. They know we're there. They're calling it fullness. That's code. That also refers to Ephraim in the book of Genesis. And so we're seeing things here. They're using words that we can identify from scripture to decode this, to break it down. So it is the plan that they had. They were teaching through their initiates, through their shamans, through their demons, through the light workers that they call, the occult teachings that everyone is flocking to today until 2025. And so from this year is going to now go into another level. And I believe they call that the higher consciousness. And so that's when they believe that the earth is now in a different dimension. And yes, we are close into going into the age of Aquarius, or we're transitioning right now, or we're about to make that transfer. I don't know which one, but we are there. We're at that end of the age and the beginning of the other one. And this is why they so-called preach the age of Aquarius, because we are going into that age. The planetary logos. The logos is the word. That is the Davar. That is the Messiah. Logos is the word that was made flesh, the Torah. And so they're using terms like this, the purpose of the planetary logos. Remember, Satan wants to imitate Messiah. He wants everyone to worship him. The consummation of the larger purpose of the planetary logos is for Satan to sit in the temples of the believers, and so that they would worship him instead of the Most High. That is the plan. It is being done through three major centers, threefold, and we've already discussed them. And those are the three unclean frogs, the three city states, the Washington, D.C., City of London, and the Vatican. So let us continue. Education. Remember, when they passed the Noahide laws, it was under the Bill of Education. So education deals with the Noahide laws. It deals with Project 2025. It deals with the indoctrination to take over us, to implement their plan, to destroy us, or to kill the strong, the intelligent, and the ones that know the covenant and know their Elohim and serve him in truth and in spirit. And so that is what they're doing. That is what they're doing. This is why we have so much contention and division between us, is because of these things that are going on that we cannot see. This is why it's so important that we come together and forget about all those things. Just come together as one. Listen to each other, talk, communicate, and don't take anything for granted or read into it. No, let's study this out. I know this is a very hard word. This is a very tough word, but it needs to be spoken. It needs to be said. And that is the purpose of this message. And so the religion is the occult teachings toward the pure worship of Satan. And the economic plan is the plan for lawless, for the famine, for Bitcoin, for the digital ID, for the mark of the beast. I need you to let that sink in. This year, Satan is planning something huge. Whether you believe me, whether you don't believe this book, I'm not telling you to believe the book. I'm telling you to get your house in order. I'm telling you to create a force field of the Ruach around you, your family, and your household, and your property. Protect yourself. Invest time with him. Invest time with the assembly. Even if you don't agree on everything, assemble. The Father will work it out. He will iron everything out. And you will come to a unity if you really seek for it.
And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine.
Now, beloved brothers, a denarius is a Roman monetary unit for a day's wage. And we are already seeing the cost of living is rising up, and our wages remain the same. Our food prices are skyrocketing, and it's going to continue to skyrocket. And so this is what's happening here. The AI governing system has been initiated around us, okay? The weights and balances is what weighs us. We have been weighed in the balance and found wanting. They are using the word of Yah for themselves. The balances are inflation and starvation as a weapon to move us all into the new world order, to the new banking system. The purpose is implementation of the new world order, the banking system. It won't be mandatory at first. It will just become harder and harder to operate in the system until the great reset that the World Economic Forum talks about will be fully implemented. And this is the time where we will see the greatest calamity we will ever see, because they tell us we will own nothing and be happy. So the great reset is the order out of chaos. There has to be total chaos in the world, and then they will bring order. Then the man of lawlessness, the destroyer, will come on the scene, and then he will give his 2 cents on what we should do, and everybody will go for it. Everybody will go for it because of the times that we went through that no one has ever gone through in any time of history. We're gonna go through. It's gonna be that bad. It's gonna be that horrible. So expect the unexpected, and put your mind that it'll be very, very bad, and that you only can make it with Messiah in you. That's the only way. There's no other way. Now it says here, do not harm the oil and the wine. Now, some of us here study the Feast of Oil and the Feast of Wine, and that is in preparation for the Feast of Trumpets. And so the oil represents the Ruach, and the wine represents the covenant. So those that are in covenant are going to be protected, but they're still going to be targeted. They're going to be targeted, but we're going to be able to overcome if we are walking in our cups. Remember, the 10 virgins, they were supposed to have oil in their lamps, and they were supposed to carry an extra container full of oil, and you are in covenant status because the wine represents the blood of the covenant. Then you may not be hurt, but it has to be in a walk that's approved by the Messiah. It can no longer be a permissive will. It has to be in his perfect will, the perfect will. What's happening now? What's happening? What's happening is that we're having a reduction of governments around the world. Governments are collapsing everywhere. We're seeing it with our own eyes. And they're giving up their sovereignty to the UN under the New World Order authority. Now, it could be that AI is to receive human rights under the New World Order. And if they do that, then they will be now in positions of power, which I believe they already are. And because they're giving life to it. Now, we know that AI, the mirror life, the new chip they just discovered is doing such a thing already. So this could have already happened. And so they will use all tactics, everything that all their tools that they have to come against us, brothers, because there's going to be a transition of power for them too. And maybe that's what that statue was with that rider and that horse destroying that dragon. The transfer of power, the transfer of the banking system from money you can handle to digital money you can't see, and to the economies changing over into the system. Education, we're being re-educated into believing and not thinking for ourselves. The religions, all of the religions, Christianity says they're not a religion, but they are. But they're moving towards the one world religion of worshiping Lucifer. And that's where they're all going. That's where they're all going. They're going there. It's called ecumenism. And so, right now, beloved brothers and sisters, cash is still available. But how many use cash as much as you used to before? I don't use it as much as I should, and this is probably for everyone else. And so cash is still available until it is out of circulation, and that won't come until the fourth seal, until the pale horse comes in. Now, so we're transitioning to a digital ID, digital money. So what's going to happen here, and you can research for yourself. Elon Musk says that within 2 years, you will no longer need a cell phone. You will be the cell phone. It'll be the internet of bodies. Your phone is temporary until that time. So, and during that time is when it's going to be the Great Reset again. So it'll be mandatory after 2028, if I'm correct in my assessment of the 7-year tribulation. And so how are they going to do this? How are they going to, how is it going to be when no cash is available, or there's very little cash? Well, in the system, they will have a retina scan, an iris scan. They will have fingerprints. You will have facial recognitions. You will need a biometric sensor within your body with Bluetooth on your phone to connect to the bank. That is the only way banking is going to work in the near future. And so if that is what you want to do, that is on you. But I advise you not to do that, to seek the Father now and to seek him to provide for you in those days, like he did Elijah, how he had a crow send him food, how he can have manna rain down from the Shamaim. So these are the things that we're looking at, brothers and sisters, after this year. Now again, Amos 5:18 tells us, woe unto you that desire, and there's an Aleph Tav here, the day of the Master Yahuwah. Why do you seek it? The day of Yahuwah is darkness and not light. And this is what we're facing. We're facing the days of darkness, the days of Joseph's famine, in the days of in Egypt. He had 7 years of plenty and then 7 years of famine, 7 years of darkness. That's what we're going into. And so again, many desire to be raptured, but the man of sin must be revealed first. I believe that in 2 years, we will not have phones as we have now. They will be going out of circulation too. It'll be biometrically integrated into the internet of our bodies. This is iron mixed with clay. This is not far away, 10, 15, 20 years. This is right here, right now. Once you get this technology, this biometric, it can never be removed from your body. It is permanently in your body because it is nano dust. You can't get it out. It's dust. You won't be able to see it. This nano dust, this biometrics will determine you as property of the state, of the New World Order, of the UN. You will be owned and barcoded. You will be part of the slavery system, which will be implemented in the fourth seal. So this is what's going on, my brothers and sisters. According to what I'm receiving, according to the seals, that they are now coming to fruition. They're now coming to a crescendo. They're coming into now, it's going to be a volcanic eruption that is coming in the near days ahead. Now, these people are either following the book of Revelation as a plan, bringing prophecy to pass to manipulate and control and neutralize everyone, or there's a true Elohim, the Most High, in the Shemayim, in the heavens. So they are following this plan, beloved. They are following this plan to a T. So it is Yahuwah who is the sovereign. Everything that he said is coming to pass. His word is not returning back void. Revelations 6, 7, and 8. And when he opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth living creature say, "Come." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. And its rider's name was Death, and Hades followed him. And they were given authority over a fourth of the earth to kill with the sword, with a famine, with pestilence, by wild beast of the earth. Beloved brothers, there's 8 billion people right now on the earth. It says it was given authority to kill a fourth of the earth during 2025 and 2026 and 2027. That is 2 billion people dying between 2025 and 2026. Have you heard of sparse 2025 and 2026? These are things that we have to consider. These are things that they did. They played them out, simulations. It was like make believe, but I believe it was to tell us. Satan has to tell us his plan. He has to tell us in advance what he's going to do, and he has been telling us. And there's also a thing called the Deagle report. Okay, this is the Deagle report. This is for every country. So in the United Kingdom, where Brother Thompson is at, interestingly enough, in 2017, it said that it had 63 million people, 390,000. But in 2025, it states, here it is right here, 2025, it states that it'll have 14 million people. And it is 77% of decline of population. And this is to occur this year, according to this report. It's a government report, by the way. And in the United States of America, we're at 316,440,000, and we will have 68.5 deduction this year to bring the number to almost 100 million. So this is where we're at, beloved brothers. This is where we're at. This is what they're telling us. Here you can see that the gross domestic product was 19 trillion, and it'll go down to 2.4 trillion. Now, in the military budget, we have $637 billion a year, but it'll go down to 32 billion. We will not be that power that we used to be. We are ranked very high in the world, but we will no longer be ranking that high anymore. We will not be a superpower anymore. I didn't make this up. This is something that I'm finding. I'm showing you this. This is where we're at. 2025 is a big year. Beloved brothers and sisters, I spoke about Samuel. I spoke about the sons of Belial. I spoke about the priests that are not doing the Father's will, and that he's exposing right now, because he's exposing their darkness, and because they do not bring honor to him. And he's going to be raising up those priests that are righteous, the sons of Zadok revived, that do honor him. And so the same thing with Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a type of King Saul in our day, playing out. It's a transition of a son of Belial. And so let me explain what I'm saying. in the book of Samuel 8:19, it says there that the people of Israel refused to listen to Samuel. They said, no, there must be a king over us. This is what the United States did this year. They wanted Trump. And we know that every election has been rigged or tampered with and has been messed with. So I believe this one might have been real, and this election was right. And so it was voted, majority voting by the people to request Trump as their president. And the Father granted to him. He granted us what we wanted in our heart desires. They did not want Yahuwah no more. They wanted Trump. Even people from all over the world wanted Trump. There was a girl in Great Britain who tattooed Trump's name on her forehead. There's people in Africa that love him. All over the world. It's not just America. He has a thing that people love and cherish. And so anyway, verse 18 says, but then on that day, you will cry out because of your king whom you have chosen for yourselves. But the Master Yahuwah will not answer to you on that day. Brothers and sisters, we've been talking about crying out. And there's not enough crying out in America. We have it too good. We are very comfortable here. But the day is coming now with this president, King Saul, in our day, who you have chosen as president, and you have called him Savior, that it will be the day when now you're going to cry out to the real King, the King of Kings, the Master of Masters, who you have not chosen, but that you at that time will choose, and he will not answer you. So the time is now for you to get and prostrate yourself on your knees and call out to him. I'm not saying that he's not going to answer you, but it will take a lot of work for him to even look at you, for him to even take a notice at you. So, beloved brothers, the clock is running. The clock is running. The dark winter is upon us. Let me show you what I mean by dark winter, beloved.
I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water? Didn't work out.
Joe Biden is promising a long, dark, painful winter. Did you see him at the debate? Did anybody see the debate by any chance? No, he said long, dark winter. Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. That's just what our country needs, is a long, dark winter and a leader that talks about it.
On June 22, 2001, the United States government began Operation Dark Winter. Operation Dark Winter was not a war game. Instead, something more unusual. Dark Winter was a germ game. In 2001, the US military, government, and media launched a mock battle against pathology. The premise was simple. The bioterror organization released a deadly virus into the country, and smallpox is spreading quickly. The US government must now react to contain the outbreak and stop further harm. How did we do? The results were disastrous. Within 48 hours, the government failed its objectives. The loss of human life was high, and when Operation Dark Winter ended 3 days later, a summary of recommendations were given to implement across different levels of government to better prepare in case of a future dark winter. But a dark winter never came. Instead, 4 months later, 9/11 struck the United States with a different type of fear, and the government and our focus shifted away from home to land conflicts in Iraq and Islamic terrorism abroad. But Dark Winter wasn't the last germ game. There was a second, and that's what I want to discuss with you here today. In Baltimore, Maryland, in a house 5 blocks south of the Capitol, in 2018, Operation Clad-X began. The scenario was similar to Dark Winter. This time, an influenza outbreak has occurred in Venezuela. It is likely to reach the US in a few days. The government must react. The simulation ran for 5 days. Day 1 began with preliminary reports and the government grappling to respond to uncertain information. Day 3, the sickness was confirmed in the United States. Day 5, the simulation ended. The process is fascinating, and there's a lot to dig into. But one interesting note is that Clad-X was documented. There are recordings throughout the entire germ game, and I recommend you all dig through their archives to learn more. But now I want to play you a portion from that last day of the Clad-X simulation. It's slow, but I ask you to pay close attention to what they're saying. It's important.
We are now 3 months since the last meeting, and the pandemic has rapidly worsened globally and in the United States. The number of cases and deaths are increasing exponentially.
Remember, this is a simulation.
Here is the current U.S. situation. Approximately 60 cases 3 months ago at the last meeting to nearly 60,000 cases now. Global markets have plummeted from its high 5 months ago, and the Fed is now projecting a deep economic recession. Many domestic hospitals are failing due to lack of staff and supplies. Telework and social distancing measures are being encouraged by the CDC. Schools across the country are closed, and many public gatherings have been canceled. Public demand for surgical masks and respirators far exceed the available supply. National Guard units in multiple states have been deployed to provide security for pharmacies and hospitals. Here is the global situation as best we can determine it. As you can see, Clade X is basically everywhere.
And a near future event that may significantly change the course of human history in ways no one could possibly anticipate. That being a full-scale invasion. The question is, an invasion from where? And by whom? In the 1950s, the National Investigation Committee on Aerial Phenomena, a civilian UFO research group active in the United States from the 1950s to the 1980s, recorded multiple instances of UAP activity over Italy that year, with at least 2 specifically occurring above the Vatican City. According to their report, the Italian diplomat and Dr. Alberto Perego, who at that time was working in Rome, along with hundreds of other witnesses, watched a display of numerous small lights that resembled white spots, with a short white trail, form and reform in geometrical patterns, resembling the letters V and X, then separate into 2 serpentine curves that moved off in different directions. The date was November 6th, and the time was 11 a.m.
This is where we're at, beloved. And this is where we're at. We're at that time. That X came to play again. This was found in the ancient scroll. This is what the scrolls are telling us. And this is where we're at. We need to really get serious in our walk if we're going to make this the next season, because things are coming upon us, brothers. They're coming upon us very quickly. I believe that Father has given us time. We are to now blow the trumpet now. He's releasing this so that we can blow the trumpet, so that their blood is not on our hands or on our heads, as he says. We want to blow the trumpet. We don't want anybody's blood in our hands. We want to let everyone know to prepare. He wants everyone to know the truth. He does not want anyone to perish, but to be saved and to come to the knowledge of the truth. So this last slide that I'm going to show you is how I came to 2000, how we are in the tribulation. You see, brothers and sisters, in the book of Revelation, it talks about that there was a great sign that appeared in the heavens, a woman clothed with the sun and with the moon under her feet, and on her head she had a crown of 12 stars, and she was pregnant and was crying out with birth pangs and the agony of giving birth. It was very interesting because it occurred September 23rd, 2017. And this was during the time of the Feast of Yom Kippur, which is Day of Atonement. And so if you add 7 years to 2017, you come to 9/22, September 22nd, 2024. What occurred on that day? There was something huge that happened that day that no one really knows. What happened is that the UN had a conference. They had a meeting in New York, and all the countries, it's about 150 countries or more, they all voted to give up their sovereignty and to turn it over now to the UN. This is huge. This is the beginning of them making a league with the beast. They also voted to implement a CDBC, the digital currency. So this is all being in the works right now. This is why you're seeing the countries crumbling. It's just a smokescreen, because they're letting you know that they're not coming into the sovereignty of the UN. Now, who is the UN and who controls the UN? And to understand that, you got to follow the money. Who prints our money? Who prints Mexico's money? Who prints Brazil's money? Who prints China's money? Who prints Israel's money? It's the same people. So it is not that the Chinese are against us, or they're coming against us, or the Russians. They are all controlled by the same people, and that is the Federal Reserve. And so the Federal Reserve is a private company owned by the richest people and the richest families of the world. And the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers are not at the very, very top, beloved. There's others up top that we do not know of. And so this is what's happening. From 2017 to 2024, we had the 7 years of plenty that ended this last Day of Atonement. So now we are transitioning to the 7 years of scarcity, the 7 years of gloom, the 7 years of darkness. And so, yes, 2025 is a very prophetic year. So if you take 2024 and add 3.5 years to it, you'll come to 2028 on Passover. And I believe that's when the anti-Messiah will come into the scene. And then 3.5 years later, from 2028, it'll be 2031. It'll be back on Yom Kippur. And that'll be a Shemitah also. And it'll be sometime after that when the Messiah returns. And that makes sense because he will return in the fall feast. And so based on this assessment, we are in the tribulation. Now, I stand corrected if anybody has anything else that they can show me. But right now, I'm using this as a pattern. If I'm wrong, at least I'm preparing now. And if this is in your ruach, in your spirit, and you agree with it, well, good. Prepare, blow the trumpet, seek the Father. Because what's happening, my brothers, this is not to be proudful or anything of this. It's just a guideline to get us prepared. Because see, Jeremiah 4:31 tells us, it says, so I hear the sound of anguish. See, this is when we're going to cry out to him. We haven't been there yet. There are some people in the world that are crying out to him. The people that are being destroyed in Gaza are crying out to him. And so we pray for everyone. And so there's a distress already happening in the world, and it's going to come and hit us, but it's going to hit us way harder than what we're seeing in Gaza, I believe. It's going to be way worse than that. And this is the distress as the birth of a firstborn child, Jeremiah tells us. And this is the voice of the daughter of Zion, and she is grasping for breath. She spreads out her hands, and she says, woe to me, for my soul is weird, and I am fainting because of these murderers. What's happening, brothers and sisters, is that the authentic nation of Israel, of the scriptures, it hasn't been born yet. It will be born when the Mashiach returns, according to the book of Micah. And so there are brothers and sisters in the land of Israel, but it is those around the world, because there's going to be another Exodus that will come out of the nations, out of the whole world this time, not just Egypt, but out of the whole world. When the Ruach comes, when the second outpouring comes, there will be a man-child that's going to be born, and he is going to be the man-child of the man-child. In other words, this is the son of the Messiah. This is Israel, who will be born with Messiah in them, operating in the fullness and the power of the order of the ancients of Melchizedek, from the Shamayim, and these are the ones that are going to be going through the whole world, proclaiming, rejoicing with joy and gladness. And these are the ones that he's going to use to establish his kingdom on earth, whether it be people from the United States, people from Israel, people from Mexico. It doesn't matter. If you're doing the will of the Father, and he chooses you to be one of these brothers and sisters that's going to be part of this, then I'm so ecstatic to know who will be part of that. I want to be part of that, but I got much work to be done before I even consider anything like this. I'm just someone who is trying to die to the flesh today. I'm not doing enough. I need more work to get to that level. And so this is why I'm seeking everyone to put everything aside, put your emotions aside. It's not about emotions. It's about the reality that we're in. Your emotions is a low frequency, and that's what the demons use. We don't want that. We want love. We want joy. We want gladness. Those are high frequencies. We want that. We want to work in that frequency to overcome the frequencies that are being thrown at us right now through the new technologies that they have. And so, brothers and sisters, thank you for coming. Now we're going to open it up for discussion. Whatever anybody has any questions. Beloved brothers and sisters, we are to examine ourselves according to 2 Corinthians 13:5. Examine ourselves, examine this teaching and see if it is of Yahuwah or not. And if it is, see if you can apply it to your life today. Yahuwah has entrusted us with much, and we are to guard every word that proceeded out of his mouth. And Father, thank you for bringing us today, Father, to give us revelation on how to become a new creation.